Does anyone know exactly when it happened that a pretty boring and predictable show became the biggest pop culture trend right now? Seriously? In 2026, hockey romance has taken over everything. Bookstores, TikTok, and now streaming services too. And one of this year's biggest hits is the show Off Campus from Prime Video. And wait, stop right there. Elle Kennedy fans, take a breath, and before you get mad at me, let's try to honestly listen to each other. Because if you keep a cool head and look at the screen, Off Campus is honestly a very simple, predictable, and even cliché show. The plot is clear from the very first minutes, and every move is predictable. And yet, it's just impossible to look away, which is why the views are skyrocketing. But how did that happen? Why is a story about hockey, which the industry ignored for years, now breaking all of Bridgerton's records? What scandals on set forced Prime Video to threaten fans with a ban? And why did we all suddenly get hooked on this hockey antidepressant? Anyway, let's dive in. Hi everyone. My name's Sasha Redko, and you're on my channel, Messy Slavic Girl. Here, we look at pop culture a bit deeper than just the media headlines. This channel is my hobby because I used to work in PR, and now I'm a YouTube producer and podcast creator. And here on the channel, I analyze celebrity scandals, looks, and projects as media stories, and most importantly, I tell you what's really behind them. The first piece of news we definitely need to discuss. I hope my regular viewers are watching. I got a new hairstyle. To be honest, I only went in for bangs, but they ended up giving me a bit of a tint too. And I don't know what you think, but I feel like a completely different person. Also, today I tried to put together a look as if I were one of the characters from Off Campus. Please let me know if I'd fit in there or not. I hope so. But now, let's move on to discussing the show. Where did all this hype even come from? It all started in 2015, when author Elle Kennedy started a mini revolution. She looked at the store shelves and realized there were almost no good stories about college sports, so she decided to fix that. Elle took the perfect recipe: a college campus, hot hockey players, fake dating, deep psychological trauma, and a dash of very explicit scenes. And what was the result? A total hit. The book sold like crazy, with over 6 million copies in print. Let's quickly go over the basics so you understand the scale of this whole universe. From 2015 to 2017, 4 main books were released, and in 2021, the long-awaited epilogue for all the characters. The first book is The Deal. It's the story of Garrett and Hannah. She's a creative girl and a musician. He's the hockey team captain who, of course, has trouble with his grades. Hannah helps him with his studies, and in return, Garrett pretends to be her boyfriend. And honestly, I don't think producers have found a more reliable way to sell a romance story yet. Fake relationships are one of the most beloved rom-com tropes. We've seen it in literally every third movie. For example, in The Proposal, where Sandra Bullock's character is forced to pretend to be her assistant's fiancé. In To All the Boys I've Loved Before, teenagers start fake dating for their own personal goals. And just recently, by the way, we also saw this in Anyone But You, where exes pose as the happy couple at a friend's wedding. The secret to this trope's popularity is simple. It lets you skip the getting to know you phase and awkward moments and throw characters right into intense emotional situations. They have to hold hands, meet the parents, deal with jealousy, and act like they've been together for a long time. The audience knows exactly how it'll end, but the fun isn't in the mystery. It's in seeing how long the characters will deny the obvious. Now, let's go back to the book series for a bit. The second book is called The Mistake. This one focuses on a hockey player named Logan. A popular guy and a total ladies' man, he makes a stupid mistake, loses the girl, and spends the whole novel trying to earn a second chance. The third book is called The Score. It's Dean's story, the university's biggest playboy, who thought he knew everything about girls until he finally met the one. And the fourth book is called The Goal, probably the most dramatic book in the series. It's Sabrina's story, an anxious overachiever who had her whole life planned 10 years out, but gets unexpectedly pregnant by Tucker, a hockey player. Millions of fans were absolutely obsessed with these characters. And, of course, a screen adaptation was only a matter of time. But actually, for a long time, no major company wanted to buy the film rights. And the reason is pretty mundane. Back in 2015, the film industry just didn't know what to do with this new adult genre. Producers thought it was too mature for teenagers and too juvenile for an adult audience. Boy, were they wrong. The books were in limbo for years until they started looking into what female audiences actually wanted. 3 things turned the situation around. First, the massive rise of BookTok, which showed producers that these stories have a fan base of millions. Second is the commercial success of other young adult projects on Prime Video. By the way, I already have a breakdown of The Summer I Turned Pretty on my channel. You should definitely check it out. And third, the real trigger was the sudden popularity of hockey stories in pop culture. Just a few years ago, novels about hockey players were considered a niche interest for sports romance fans. But BookTok literally fell in love with this archetype. In 2025, Challengers comes out, and the world goes crazy. And it's no surprise. Hockey turned out to be an almost perfect romantic setting. It's a team sport with a brotherhood vibe, locker rooms, constant travel, intense games, and highly emotional players. Plus, it's a rare chance to show a hero who's both physically strong and emotionally vulnerable. In books and shows, hockey players stopped being just athletes and became new romantic heroes, caring, loyal, and ready to fight not just for the puck, but for the relationship. Big streaming producers have finally realized a very simple thing. Viewers don't just want billionaires, vampires, or bad boys. Sometimes it's enough to just give them a handsome hockey player who knows how to apologize, respects boundaries, and confesses his love not with a grand gesture, but a simple talk. As a result, Prime Video officially orders the series off campus. And as you can imagine, the stakes were huge. Fan expectations were even higher since they've been waiting since 2015. And so, on May 13th, 2026, the long-awaited premiere took place. It was an instant triumph. Prime almost immediately, without wasting any time, renewed the series for a second season. It seemed like an absolute success. But as soon as fans turned on the first episode, social media literally split in two, and the main boiling point wasn't the bedroom scenes at all, but how the creators handled the main characters. So what was wrong with the casting, and why did the on-screen Garrett cause a real riot on social media? Moving on to the absolute hottest part. My favorite segment, Scandals and Intrigue. Whoa, by the way, I have a Telegram channel, be sure to subscribe to it. There, we can discuss the latest news together really quickly. I react to them and also share a bit about my life. Anyway, make sure to subscribe. You know, I think a truly successful project in 2026, well, basically has to be, well, a tiny bit scandalous, but not too much, just a tiny bit. So the first and loudest scandal is specifically about the casting. The lead actress was only 18 at the time of filming, while her on-screen partner was 28. Fans literally went wild because there's a 10-year age gap between them. After the trailer, social media was flooded with comments saying that watching intimate scenes between a very young girl and essentially a grown man is quite uncomfortable. It even got to the point of demands for a recast. However, Ella herself responded to this quite harshly. She stated that everyone on set was like family, and she never once felt vulnerable, especially since an intimacy coordinator was always on set, and Ella could change or cancel any difficult scene right on the day of filming. But the fans couldn't be stopped, and they switched to appearances. That's already the second scandal. On Reddit, they were crying, Ella looks like a real student, while everyone else next to her looks like 30-year-old men. Well, in part, I'm even ready to agree with that comment. But never mind the looks. Belmont didn't even know how to ice skate. The casting basically looks something like this. Okay, you're handsome. Can you act? No? Great. Go learn how to stand on skates on the ice. And Belmont had to go through hellish training, while all the difficult stunts were done for him by a professional NHL player. In the end, the fandom went so crazy that Prime Video literally had to release an official statement demanding an end to the harassment of the actors and their loved ones in real life, threatening to ban the accounts of everyone writing those comments. To be honest, I think it's already a classic, because BookTok fans almost always hate the casting of adaptations. But when the series came out, a miracle happened. Everyone admitted, okay, he's not exactly the Garrett from the book, but the chemistry between the characters is just insane. And all because the creators approached the casting quite cleverly. During the auditions, the actors weren't forced to kiss at all. Chemistry was tested through script readings and improv, looking for that feeling like these two have known each other for 100 years. And it worked. Now, the tone of the discussion on Reddit has shifted, and the show is being called the perfect comfort watch, praised for the rare ease between the actors. Plus, the series was modernized in a really cool way. The producers carefully rewrote toxic moments to fit the standards of 2024. For example, Garrett's rule from the book, where he possessively forbids other guys from approaching Han. Remember that moment? In the show, they turned it into an ironic college legend. The actor himself and Elle Kennedy, the author of the books, fully supported this idea. By the way, Elle was actually thrilled that Justin's character was made a musician instead of an athlete. Also, throughout the show, I couldn't shake the thought that Justin is Oleg Sheps from Battle of the Psychics. They really do look a lot alike. Our regular segment, I'm Not Done Yet, from the editing room, where I literally step away from the edit to record my thoughts for you. Now, I want to discuss the character's psychological traumas with you, specifically Hannah's experience with sexual violence and Garrett's domestic abuse from his father, because these specific topics spark the most polarized opinions among readers, viewers, and critics. On one hand, journalists note that the showrunners handled the topic very delicately, unlike other shows like Euphoria or 13 Reasons Why, where violence is shown in all its terrifying detail. Off Campus operates in a completely different way. It focuses not on the act itself, but on the feelings of the survivor and her journey to regaining control over her own life. On the other hand, in the series, trauma is just a tool to enhance the plot. On Reddit, people often say that the violence was added to the plot just to give the characters more depth. It's as if the characters' tragedies only surface during dramatic dialogues, but the rest of the time they act like totally normal, carefree students, mentally healthy and partying. Because of this, the belief in the realism of the plot breaks down. To be honest, I have those same mixed feelings about it myself. What do you think about how the traumas were portrayed in the show? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to find out. So, what's the result here? In the first 12 days, according to unofficial data, the show garnered 36 million views and the title of Prime Video's most successful launch among a young female audience. Elle Kennedy is already hoping the show follows the Bridgerton model, with each season focusing on a new couple. And here, let's discuss why we've all gotten hooked on comfort shows. Because seemingly the plot is simple and predictable, but that's exactly where its success lies. Actually, the off-campus phenomenon can be explained by 5 reasons. Anyway, sorry guys, I just really love lists. First, we're officially living in the era of emotionally safe stories. Today's viewers don't want to be stressed out even more while watching a screen. There's plenty of stress in real life as it is. So we want to know in advance who ends up with whom, who's good, who's bad, and that love will definitely fix everything in the end. It's like, therapeutic cinema, where the ending is predictable, but that very predictability gives us a sense of comfort. The second reason is the female audience's demand for a green flag, and Garrett here is literally the anti-Christian Grey, if you remember who that is from 50 Shades of Grey. We're finally being shown a healthy guy. He knows how to listen, sincerely apologizes, respects boundaries, and oh my god, he can actually communicate instead of playing mind games. For the romance genre, such decent behavior from the main character is a pretty fresh take, and the female audience is just loving it. The third reason is that the younger audience is literally tired of complex anti-heroes. After 10 years of popular dark series about serial killers, drug cartels, the mafia, and total moral ambiguity, people want something pure and innocent again. They just want to watch beautiful students who genuinely suffer over missed exams, jealousy, and their first love. It's basically a legal escape from reality. The fourth reason is that it's a fanfic that has finally become absolute mainstream. The structure of Off Campus mirrors the tropes of the most popular stories on fanfiction sites to a T. It literally has everything that an entire generation grew up on. Forced proximity, fake dating, the only one bed trope, the protective guy, and the mandatory beautiful confession in the final third of the story. Streaming services just took what had been working on social media for years and packaged it into a high-budget, glossy production. And the fifth reason is that it's effectively a romantic version of a superhero franchise. Yes, you heard that right. Prime Video isn't just selling us a simple love story, but an entire cinematic universe. The viewer knows the rules of the game from the start. This season is about Garrett, the next is Logan, then Dean, and then Tucker follows. The series sells us not so much a plot, but an endless feeling of returning to a favorite group of friends you've already missed during filming. I also want to note that I really liked how the pop culture references work in Off Campus. The most obvious, and probably the coolest one, is the reference to JLo's famous dress. That green dress that was so popular back in the day that it's the reason Google launched image search. And interestingly, Prime Video went even further and got JLo herself involved in promoting the series. There are also references to Legally Blonde and other cult Hollywood films from the late 90s and early 2000s. It's details like these that I think make the series especially cozy. Off Campus proved that to be a hit. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, you just need to give the viewer something they can safely fall in love with. Be sure to write in the comments, what do you think of this adaptation? Did you like the series? Did you like my episode? And whose story are you looking forward to most in the second season? Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Your support is very important and necessary to me. And I recently received a comment that said, Sasha, you have undeservedly few subscribers. And you know what? I agree with that comment, so I'd really appreciate your subscription and your support. And I hope you like my new hairstyle and my new look as much as I do, because I really love it. Anyway, thanks everyone. Bye everyone.